Here we go, everybody. All right, I got my drink. You got yours. Episode 58. Come on in, people. We're live. Oh, yeah. What the heck? Wow, I just had a sound malfunction, but that's okay. It's live. That happens. I'm Cardone. What's up, everybody? Come on in. I am going to pour my Sans Bitter soda into my awesome cup and raise it nice and high. Party on. It's Friday night, everybody. Oh, too bitter. Gotta let it sit. Ooh. What's up? Episode 58. Come on in, grab a drink. It's Friday night. We got Lanny, Rick, Corey, John. We got a couple new people in here. Somebody just tipped me. Thank you. Wow. It's so cool. If you're new to the channel, there's some things you got to learn about how this show works. And we'll go over that in a second. Let me turn this down. And let me get out my notes. Let's see. How is my incense camera is not ready yet. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So, tonight, we got a killer show. I've got a few subjects I'm going to dance around a bit. I wasn't sure what I was going to do the other day. But sometimes, naturally, things just pop into view. And I say, all right, let's go for it. So, if you're new, please hit the subscribe button. It's the least you can do. I do 3 shows a week, so hit subscribe, hit notify. And you know, some of you were telling me that when you hit that notify bell, you don't get notified, which is weird. And I know some major YouTube guys who also have, hey, thank you, Lanny. Thank you, really. They tell you if you don't, even if you have notify, sometimes it doesn't do anything. They can hit that shadow ban button and you're done. Yeah, so, if you're enjoying my shows, yeah, tipping is cool. I don't say no to tips. Why? Because it goes right into my show. I literally put it all right back in the show, and, yeah. Now, if you don't tip, you can't tip, that's fine. Some of us are broke, that's cool. And not only that, the most important thing is hit the subscribe button, because I'm trying to get monetized at 1,000. And so far, it's been going pretty well. So, let's see the hand cam. Woo! There we go. I haven't busted this one out in a while. This is definitely my favorite incense burner I've bought this year. I bought a few this year, but this one here, I don't know what to say. It's very much a tchotchke. It's a tchotchke, and I love it. And it's one of those backflow incense burners. Now, I'm picky with incense. Look at that. It looks like liquid. I'm extremely picky with incense, and a lot of the backflow incense is not as good as the incense I really like, which is Fred Sol. Check out Fred, F-R-E-D, S-O-L, incense. It's the greatest in the world. I've yet to find anybody better. And I do burn a lot of incense. Here we go. We have in the chat a game that goes on during the show. So some of the people that are in here that come every show, let's show the new people what that game is. You basically, first of all, you all have points. And you don't know how many points yet, some of you. Hit exclamation point and then write the word points right beside it, and my robot will tell you. Check it out. Let's see who's the first in here. Once you figure out how many points you got, you can gamble them. You can win more or lose them. And there is a web store that you can redeem the points. Some of you have enough to get some of the prizes. If you look in the description of this show, you will see where to go get them. There's 2 prizes up now. One is a mystery box. And wow, Sherman's at $397. Cool. So yeah, that's what goes on during the game. You can, and then you hit exclamation point risk space, and then how many points you want to risk. If you're new, you'll see people in here doing it. Some people lost a lot of points. Somebody last week got up to 700 points. Here's somebody, Helen has 400 points. Wow. Totally cool. I think the first prize is 700, the second one's 1,000. What else? Oh yeah, I got lots of stuff to talk about before we get there. So, at the end of the show tonight, I'm going to be doing, wow, that was terrible grammar. I'm going to be having a giveaway, like every Friday since I said I was going to do it. I am definitely, alright, somebody just won 100 points. I definitely like doing the giveaways every Friday. Now, I'm going to be honest, it's been nuts. We've had one dude win 3 times in a row. So, pretty cool. All right, CC, Lanny has 6 points. You just joined, you got some points. Very cool. The more you chat, the more points you get. That's how it works. So, chat away, have fun. Ashworth, who else is in here? Eric, Helen. Yeah, Sean, come on in. So that's the in-chat point. Now, tonight, the giveaway, let me show you what I'm going to be giving away. First of all, I'm going to give away 1 squishy. I don't know which one yet. I'm not going to show it to you. It's going to be a surprise. But I am going to give away compliments of Goblinko. Goblinko is one of my favorite companies on the internet, and I would call them a lifestyle brand. They make t-shirts, stickers. They even sell a self-defense device called a cat scratcher. They also sell my favorite board game called Dungeon Degenerates. And the artist, Sean Auberg, has been kind enough to give me some things to give away. And I'm going to give them away right here, right now. There's going to be a Goblinko button and a sticker. And these Goblinko stickers are really nice. I'll show them to you. Whoop, there we go. Goblinko stickers. And then, the piece de resistance. I will send you a Sean Auberg poster that is the Bristol stool chart. And, you hang it in your bathroom and you can keep track of your stool in a very colorful chart that's really funny. So, if you'd like to win this tonight, live, first you got to be in the chat right now. Second, you got to stay to the end of the show. And third, you, right now, in the chat, what would be a good number for today? Let's see. We are in the spring. Next week is Walpurgisnacht, and that would be April 30th. So let's just say 430. If you write 430 in the chat right now, you're in the contest. You don't have to do it at the end when I do the last call. So, write down 430 right now in the chat below and enter the contest. And I'll literally on Monday or Tuesday put it in the mail and drop it, and you will get it. And I don't care where you are. If you're far away, I'll pay for the shipping. That's how it works. Okay, so start doing that. I just saw something about YouTube. The CEO of YouTube made an announcement that kind of made me I was watching Jimmy Dore. Anybody know Jimmy Dore? He's a comedian who does political commentary. He goes after the Republicans and the Democrats. He's no holds bar. So I kind of like that. And I was watching him. I mostly watch him for like free speechy stuff, like YouTube, because He's a YouTuber. And he showed a memo from the CEO of YouTube. They're going to get rid of dislikes on certain pages. Now, the theory is it's because certain pages, like the White House, when they put up a video, they get more dislikes than likes. Does that sound familiar? Remember Rotten Tomatoes, what happened? Captain Marvel came out. The fan rating was low before the movie. Marvel greased the palms of Rotten Tomatoes, and they got rid of that early fan rating thing. The other thing the CEO said that, and this is kind of shocking, he said that they boost authoritative sources. So the corporate media gets boosted while the regular guys trying to do it don't. Not cool. Wow, here's somebody, Arno Schultz. Wow. I love this channel because I get people from all over. Here's somebody that says, I saw you play in Montreal in the late 90s with the Toilet Boys. Amazing show. Wow, Arno, was it at the El Macambo? Because we loved playing there. And the other question is, was it with Dee Ramone? Because we toured Canada with him. I'm curious if it was that tour or one of the other ones. Wow, welcome. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. My channel's starting to move quick. Thank you. Thanks for giving me that little memory. So look, people are in here risking points, winning points. Ashworth is getting ready here. He's... Wow. I love this. Have fun. I set this up for fun. What else? I bitched about rotten... YouTube. Sorry, YouTube. Now, I'm going to be honest. Surfing in NY right now ain't so good, but it does get good. Well, fall and winter is the best usually. Occasionally we get a good summer swell. This year, spring wasn't that great so far. Last year, I was in the water all the time in the winter and spring. This year, not as much. During the lockdown, the coolest part of it all was right here. Oh no, the Jailhouse Rock Cafe? Oh, you said Montreal, not Toronto. Jailhouse Rock Cafe. I have a poster from that show somewhere. I can't believe. Now I'm gonna go nuts looking for it. There's a poster for that I have somewhere. Jim Dunn! Come on in, Jim. Welcome. Wow, that brings a smile. Hey, and I got Salam Kazi. Apni ka muna chen bandu. Balo. Ami kup kodarto. Wow, Amanda, you got to put a space, I think, in between that 150. I think you got to put a little space for it to activate the robot game. Jim Dunn in the house. Well, sit back, everybody, because I got a killer show. I have a bunch of things that I wanted to go talk about tonight. One thing I don't know much about. I do know a little bit, and I started learning about it, and I think you're going to dig it. The other thing we're going to talk about is origins of witchcraft. And not only that, I'm going to give you some secrets of my own magic tonight at the end. Before we get there, because we're getting close, because I normally start the actual show at a quarter after, I got to tell you about something. Check it out. Pagal. We got to hang out, Bondu. You and your family need to come stay at my house. I haven't seen you for how many years now? And it's not right. We need to hang out. I gotta be honest, Salam. You and Bablu are the first people I met in New York City working. Really. And I think about you guys all the time. So, I'm so happy you're here. Look, next Wednesday. Ba-boom. I'm gonna do a magic method. I was gonna do a level 3, and I thought, you know what? I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna do a different version of my... What's up, Daryl? Come on in. I'm going to do a different version of my show, my magic teaching class, where instead of teaching tricks, I'm just going to teach some stunts. I'm going to teach you how to do the coin roll properly and do some flashy stuff with cards so that when you're playing with your pals, you can go whoop and whip out some fun little fancy looking shuffly things. And I thought it's cool because in a short time I can teach a bunch that are moderately hard and you can learn them. So that's next Wednesday. I'll promote the heck out of it. Next Friday, I ain't going to be around. It's a major holiday. It's Walpurgisnacht. So, if you like to do witchy things, that's the night you ring the gong and set some things in motion. That's next Friday. Yeah. Interesting. Lanny asked a very good question. Are you going to talk about the crossover between real magic and stage magic? Okay, so I kind of talk about that in every show because it's something that I think about a lot. I do. It's my life's work. If someone said, "What is your life's work?" I would say magic. And when I say magic, I don't mean just, me pulling off my fingers and thumbs and doing card tricks. I mean it in the broad sense of all magic. And so I talk about it all the time. Tonight, I am going to go into some detail. It's the crossover between sleight of hand up close magic and lesser magic, influencing others. So, I think it's time to start the real show. Let me just look at the comments before I start. I talk fast and furiously, so. Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me? So Arno, it says, his buddy who owned the place just put out a book with all the shows from the jailhouse, and you guys are in it. I can't wait. Dude, here's something crazy. I was on Clownvis's show last week, and it was fun as hell. So cheers to Clownvis. If you guys want to follow, Peter Benedetti, 430. Cool, Peter. If you win 4 times in a row, Peter, you are definitely sending some signals over here via magic. Rabid Crow. Hey, Rabid Crow, cheers. I think I know who you are. Was I just messaging you earlier today? Cheers. And my mom is in the house. Mom, how are you, Mama? God, we got a cast of characters in here. We got a big crowd in here already. Keep coming in. What the heck was I talking about? Oh, Clownvis. He read me a piece of Dee Dee Ramone's book where he says the nicest things about my band, and it really kind of choked me up because I didn't even know about it. So when I hear about things about my band that is still in, it's still out there, it makes me very happy to know that we did something. We did something. Wow, cool. Yeah, so let's talk about this. Let's get into the meat. Boom. I'm gonna put this here. So, anybody ever hear of Xenophon? Xenophon. So Xenophon is a name that's not new to me, but I never paid attention to it. And how I came about Xenophon recently is, hi from Miss Rabid Crow. Hi, Miss Rabid Crow. I love this. So Xenophon, I came about him because I recently wanted to start digging deep in some Socrates stuff. And there's not Socrates didn't write anything. Other people wrote about him and, his students took it on. And you got Plato and you have Xenophon. Now, Plato I've read and Xenophon I haven't read. So when I looked up this guy, Xenophon, who's got a cool name, be a good metal band name, I was kind of shocked at how amazing this gentleman was. So, who was Xenophon? Let's talk about it. If we have history buffs in here, I think I'm going to get you to go look up some cool stuff that you might not know about. So, Xenophon, son of Grylus. He was born in Athens, 428 BC. and he died in 354 BC. He was a real guy. I mean, really real. We know he was real because we have first-person accounts, his students, and lots of people writing about this guy, okay? He's not, like, sort of real, like some other religious historical figures. Notice I said sort of real, because we don't even have first-person accounts from the New Testament. None. They're all visions, and... So, Xenophon's a real guy. He and Plato, they were students of Socrates, but that's just a tiny piece. He was a military leader. He was a military tactician. He was a historian, actually documenting things going on. And he was a philosopher. So when you add all of that up, it sounds cool. But when you get into his military stuff, it's hard to believe. He was the commander of the 10,000, which was a mercenary group in Greece that did a lot. And I'll tell you right now, look up 10,000 Greek army and go look at the wiki, and you're going to be like, wow. He also is one of the first military tacticians to start implementing some new ideas like flank attacks and feints. Now, when I'm reading this in the history, I'm like, okay, I understand this stuff because I play Warhammer. I'm a nerd. I play board games. Not only do I play board games, I play the games where you have to be such a nerd that you paint the little miniatures and have wars on tables with little trees. That's me. I've been doing it my whole life. So as military combat goes, I've studied it because you do it in the game. You set up your little army. You've got little regiments on the table that you've all meticulously painted. And then each little regiment has a movement value and some sort of values. And you measure and roll dice and you have a battle. And doing that, you actually get to learn the ebb and flow of medieval combat. It's not a style that we're familiar with anymore because of how they would do regiments. You'd have soldiers in a line with another line behind them, and they would stick together. In Warhammer, each unit has a guy with a banner and a musician, and they all do something. They keep the unit together, and it moves as a whole unit, right? So flanking is when you're able to hit the enemy from the side without them realizing it's coming, or make it look like, which is a feint, you're going to do something, and in reality, they get hit from another angle. Using terrain to your advantage, studying the way the terrain of the battlefield is, and planning accordingly. So I study this stuff, and I'm reading this guy's life, and I'm like, wow. He, lived it. Wow. Favorite horror collectible I own? Not to get off subject. I have to think about it. I have too many. I have some Vincent Price life casts and autographs. I have to think about it. I have a lot. Nothing crazy. I don't own a King Kong armature or anything like that. So I'm reading about this Xenophon guy, and I'm definitely impressed. And I wanted to read what he wrote about Socrates. Now, if you don't study philosophy, you might not realize this, but a lot of times philosophers, their philosophy is built into a dialogue. So you'll have this is why it's so complicated, and this is why I got into this. I was reading about the Cynics, Diogenes, and I came across another cynic that it's a philosopher talking about another philosopher, and another philosopher is writing a fictional dialogue between those guys. And in that, you kind of get the point of what's going on. Kind of complicated, but not really. So, this guy, Xenophon, wrote about Socrates in these dialogue forms, and I started reading them. The Symposium is one of his writings, Xenophon's writings. And the basis of, you named your cat? Oh, your son's named after Vincent Price. What a great name. I like the name Vincent. So the symposium, the story, now mind you, some of this stuff's fictional, some of it's not, some of it's half-truths. It doesn't matter. You see, when you take out supernatural stuff from these ancient stories, you can still admit, hey, that didn't really happen, but the point of the story is good. When you add in gods and invisible deities as revelatory powers to the story, you can't debate or talk about the story anymore in an open and free manner. Why? Because the gods spoke it. To me, that's not good. That's kind of dangerous, which is why there's all these wars with a religious ideology jabbing people to go do it. So these guys, it didn't matter. No one cared. It's like, it might not have happened. But each guy that wrote about Socrates had a different version of that guy. And what I read was Xenophon's was the most accurate. So I was like, oh, I need to check this guy out. Why was it accurate? Well, he's a historian. And he knew that. He knew that people thought of him as a historian. So when he wrote stuff, he tried to make it pretty accurate. Whereas Plato used some flowery stuff sometimes. Yes, he's a mercenary. Yes. Yeah, he was a mercenary military tactician. They were paid to go do things. Yep, that's true. And he wasn't always successful. I think there was a lot of really bad things that happened too. Jim, have you ever read about this guy? I'm telling you, Jim, you would love it. Because I know you like military history. You come from a military family. And you yourself. So if you get the book, there's so many things on Xenophon that it's like, wow. I can't believe the name isn't, people don't know it when you mention it. So I'm reading this symposium, and it's about a party that a bunch of philosophers go to. And it's a party for an Olympic guy. It's like there's an Olympic athlete throwing a party, and there's a wealthy guy throwing it. So one of the philosophers, Socrates, I believe it was him, that said, hey, we should offer him something. Like, what do you have to offer this group? And they went around to each guy at the group, and they were like, what are you offering? Jim, he was fighting the Persians, I believe. That's what he was over there doing. Xenophon. Yeah, this is the part I don't know a lot about. The actual hardcore history of his military campaigns. I will learn it, though. I'm very fascinated by it. So, in this story of these philosophers hanging out and each one claiming their merits, there's a guy named Antisthenes. Now, Antisthenes was considered to be the first cynic before Diogenes. And what's up, Daryl? Come on in. Oh, wow. Amanda has 784 points. Dude, you qualify for one of the prizes, actually. Okay, so Antisthenes was one of the... let me stop this. He was one of the philosophers, and they were going around, and one of the guys... And every time somebody would say what they have to offer, Socrates in the dialogue gives his 2 cents. And I'm not going to go through it all. But, like, one of the guys was like, what do you have to offer? And he's like, I help people. Like, what do you mean? He goes, well, if they're poor or they're having a hard time, I give them money. And Socrates, they debate it. And Antisthenes debate, and they're all debating things. And when they got to Antisthenes, like, what do you have to offer? He was like, my wealth. And it took a second because he was known for not being rich. And it's an amazing moment because he's like, they start talking about what wealth means. Because if you think about it, Socrates asked about this pride of wealth because he knew he wasn't wealthy. And he basically said wealth and poverty is a state of mind. Because how many people that have a lot will break the law to get more, or do shady stuff to get more, or because where's the cap off? Like, at what point? Because if somebody also says, I want to be wealthy so I can live easy. I want to have an easy life and not have to worry. But that implies that the money end of it and being able to take care of everything will calm the mind of sorts. But what if the mind isn't calm? Because I can show you a lot of rich people that don't have calm minds. A lot. So what does that mean? So that's the discussion. And it gets into the nitty gritty of the beginnings of the Stoic cynic stuff of it's all bullshit. It doesn't matter. It's all here. It's like, what are you able to have and be happy with present and not this and this? Now, I'm going to get detailed here because the counterpoint to this is to want wealth creates drive, right? That's how I look at it. I'm like, okay, if I want to make money, I don't ever think like I need to be rich. I never once as a child thought that. Thanks, Mom, for teaching me that. But really, I never was like, I want to be rich. That wasn't in the game. It was more like I want to live according to my true nature. And I need to, worry about myself. To me, that's rich. Now, why do we want money? Like, what does that mean? So it can provide for a good life, right? But what if your life's not good after you have the money? What does that mean? It's just an interesting thought. And one of the ideas in the dialogue is Antisthenes, he can enjoy his pleasures because he can wait for them. Because he can be patient and not need them or desire them so much that it causes a little disturbance. No, he's okay. He's totally content. He can wait. Yeah. Well, Plato and this Xenophon guy, they were the two. They were the two students of Socrates that were really like important people. One of them was off fighting military campaigns, and the other guy was a full-time philosopher, which is so crazy. Yeah, Socrates didn't wear shoes, and he was killed he was executed by suicide, which is wild. They made philosophers do that for corrupting youth. Sound familiar? People are roasted alive daily online for corrupting youth because they're sending you untruths. Makes no sense to me. Also, the other moral of the story of Antisthenes is thinking is for free. That's what he values, being able to think and debate and go through stuff. Thank you, Jim. See, what Jim said is true. Yeah, I'm rich because, well, I won't say I'm a great guy, but I'm a dad and I do magic. I get paid to do magic. To me, that's worth more money than gold anywhere. And that's what he's teaching in this lesson. I swear I'm lucky. I felt that way when I was a little kid. I didn't have to learn that lesson. I do think a lot of people don't get that lesson. I'm lucky. My parents raised me that way. We had a relative that was a really smart guy who ended up having a really simple job. And I remember my parents saying, he's cool. No one should ever look down upon this guy because he's a genius, but he wanted to do something that was less stress and very simple, and deep respect for that guy. So, yeah. Socrates. Antisthenes said, Socrates gave me more than I could carry away, which is beautiful. When I read that, I was like, oh, beautiful. And he learned how to talk to himself. That's another thing that he thought was a value. So what does this all mean? Well, first of all, it means I want to read more about the history of Xenophon and learn about his military stuff and him as a historian. I'm reading right now his dialogues. I'm going through them. It's crazy because when you start getting into philosophy, they all start referencing each other. The other thing in here I noticed is the beginnings of the Epicurus stuff in here. The concept, Epicureanism is definitely a little different because the concept is that um, people like Epicureanism is considered a hedonistic philosophy, but the word hedonism has a dark connotation, and that's not what it is. It's about getting used to living simple and having bread and water and being able to really enjoy it. Not sort of enjoy it, actually like the taste of bread and water. Because, like he said, it creates a patience of sorts that you're content with what you have. And by gosh, if you get a piece of cheese, that's nice. But that's not what you're thinking about. Epicurus liked to eat cheese once in a while. That was his wild night out. He'd have cheese, which I love. My wild night out is I drink this stuff. Sans bitter. Bitter Italian soda. And you're not supposed to drink it. You're supposed to sip it and put ice in it because it is so bitter. All right. So I got a lot of work to do on Xenophon, and I think y'all should go look him up. Philosophy's fun. It's not complicated. It's not complicated at all. It's really fun. It gets you to ask questions to yourself. That's all it is. And I can't believe they don't teach philosophy in kindergarten all the way to high school. It should be one class through the whole thing. And I do believe the reason why it's not in school is because, thank you, Lanny. The reason why it's not taught in school is because the religious groups stepped in and were like, we'll teach the morality, thank you. Or the parents were like, we'll teach morality because we teach it through religion. And religion replaced philosophy, which is really sad because philosophy has, in my opinion, nothing to do with that. You can study philosophy alongside your religion. That is, if your religion doesn't, well, here, it's a great transition because religion as monotheistic Abrahamic philosophy is what I'll call it. Monotheistic Abrahamic philosophy. It's a lot of words. The most popular religions on earth, they like to step in and the game changed when they showed up. So let's talk about the origins of witchcraft. Let's do it. Anybody winning some crazy stuff here? So I've been interested in witchcraft ever since I was a little kid. I've read an insane amount of books. And the origin of it always interests me. And a lot of people don't realize this. There's a lot of people. Yeah, dude, Arno, my show is all about that. My show is about I'm learning stuff. And by me learning it and talking about it, I'm learning more. And you guys too. People send me things all the time on this show. Well, the thing about philosophy is it has nothing to do with interesting because what it does, I've thought about this recently. How do you take philosophy and teach it to kindergartners? Well, how I would do it? Well, here's the other thing. When I do performing for kids, I do mix in my philosophy and what I know about my virtues are in the show. It's just part of my life. I don't have to teach it. It's just there. So how do you do it with kids, like little kids? You just ask them questions. And you get them to ask questions. And then those questions make you ask more questions. That's it. If I had little kids, I was like, all right, we're going to learn philosophy. All right, what do you think about this? You know, what do you value? What's your favorite thing in the world and why? You know, that's how I would do it. And I think it would be kind of fun because you're teaching people how to think and how to debate and how not to react, but to respond, to think, go through all the scenarios and respond as opposed to parroting. Because of online and because we have these iPhones that go right in our pockets, a lot of people don't do any research. They hear it from a source that they trust, and that's that. How do you know the source that you trust didn't hear it from a bad source? That's why I don't like fact checking and stuff anymore because the sources are fuzzy. And if you keep So, for instance, if somebody says something that I think's a little BS, I say to them, and why do you believe that? And they'll go, well, because of this. And I'll go, and why do you believe that? And if you keep doing that, especially if they are full of it, you can kind of get to the root of the problems. And that's how I would do with kids. So with let's go to the witchcraft stuff, though. When I was a little kid, I thought witchcraft was a religion. Now, it is now. It became one. But if you go back in time, it was never a, quote, religion. Wiccan. That's all brand spankety new. And what it was is if you go back in time, there was no like organized system of what witchcrafty stuff was. It was just all the old pagan customs and traditions and, for millennia, people adopted the ones that they liked, the ones that they thought worked. Some of them were science-based, meaning if you eat these herbs, your belly's going to feel better. Some of them were based off of neighboring legends, suggestions from another group, and over the years, they just became part of culture. And it was a way of understanding things and having some sort of power over things you don't have power over. And they were everywhere, and there were lots of little bits and pieces of these things. And you would pass it down to your kids. And the other thing that you have, is the archetypal person, known to some as the cunning folk, also known as the wise one, also known as the weird old lady in the woods that knew more than us. And these were the people that were the demagogue of sorts. They were the guy that did know about, They knew about all these weird little tricks and stuff, and they were the masters at it. And when you had a real problem, you went to them. If your child was sick, you're like, look, we got to go see the witch doctor. Why? Because they didn't have a real doctor. That was the doctor. Or if you thought somebody wished bad luck on you and you started to have bad luck, you went to the witch doctor. If you lost something and couldn't find it, they were that person. And from what I've been reading, it was both genders. It was men, it was women, it didn't matter. There was always a wise person of sorts. And people trusted them because when there was no one else to trust, that's who you went to. And that person there, the shaman, the witch doctor, the witch, the warlock in the woods, from where I stand, that archetype invented basically everything we know. If you go back far enough in time, the weird guy in the village that knew more than everybody else, he wasn't the king. I guess sometimes he might have been the king, but most of the time he wasn't the king. There was the king, and then there was that guy. There was King Arthur, and then there was Merlin. The archetypes. Now, what happens when the person in the woods does something bad, and they use their skill to do something bad? The skill, what's the skill that they had? The witch, what is their skill? I mean, the fast answer is they could cast spells or they knew magic. From where I'm coming from, that wasn't it. Well, the church politics is where it showed up. Yeah, the church is what changed the game. And I'm going to talk about that because that's where the hammer falls. And the hammer is a key word, and I'll explain it in a second. So, the skill of the witch, from where I come from, is the skill of the guy that works in the carnival. The carny. The real carny. The guy in the carnival. The guy that's the guesser. The guy that guesses your weight or age. The guy that runs the carnival game that you can't win. The fortune teller at the carnival. The magician in the tent. I call it carny knowledge, carny wisdom. And to me, the shaman had the same skill they had, and that was the skill of observation, eyes, ears, nose, understanding human nature, how human behave. They also understood how humans, for the most part, react and don't respond. They knew these things. They predate the neuroscience guys. Why? Because of trial and error. Because they got to do it all the time and study it all the time. So these shaman people knew how to read people. So when the guy shows up to the guy in the woods door, that's right, Lanny. The wizards were running the show. Did you ever read about Rasputin? Woo! Wow. Go look him up. Rasputin was a wizard. Crazy, but a real wizard. So these guys had that skill. They were doing the same things that I do in my magic show. They were reading people and responding to what would be the best way to come about dealing with the problem. Lanny says, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. That's literally why I named my other show Behind the Devil's Curtain. The other show on this channel. Right there. Because the guy might not be the real wizard that you imagined, but he still gets things done. That's kind of the point of most of my shows. It's weird. It's also the reason why, after the religious people showed up and started burning witches, that witchcraft didn't die. The reason why it didn't die was because it worked. People did hold value in it. They did find value in what it was. And not only that, they were right sometimes. Some of the herbs and spices they were using were real. They worked. Yeah. In the old days, the shaman types couldn't meet each other, really. They were kind of lone wolves. Now we can all meet each other and talk about it. So the church finally has power. It's monotheism. As you all know, I'm not a fan of monotheism. I think it's a problem in its core. As soon as you say there's one God and only one God and all the other ones aren't real, it's a form of totalitarianism. And again, if it's an invisible unicorn that you think is important, and I say he's not a unicorn, he's an invisible aardvark, and you're like, nope, he's a unicorn. Well, if I have an invisible aardvark and you have an invisible unicorn, where's the discourse? How do we talk about it? We can't, which is why, to me, monotheism's kind of a problem. I'm going to read the comments in a second. There's a lot of really good comments in here. So the church, the Christian church, they show up. Now, the Jewish guys are the ones that wrote, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." That's in the Torah. So it's kill witches. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. Because if somebody has powers and they're doing things with magic, how does that fit in to the fact that God's running the show and is all-powerful, all-knowing, and omnipotent and omniscient? He knows what's coming. It doesn't fit into monotheistic thought. So, this is how they handle it. Anything divine that happens comes from God. Anything divine that happens that doesn't come from God, what do? Where do you put it? Well, that's where the scapegoat comes in. And his name is Ha-Satan, the Satan, the devil. And if you look at the devil, the modern devil that we all know with the horns and the tail, he's basically all the, quote, negative attributes from lots of polytheistic religions with their gods. They took a little this guy, a little this guy. They took all negative attributes and put it on one dude. Where in a polytheistic religion, what time period? 1500s, I think they stopped burning witches. 1600s, it was pretty much done with. They started cleaning it up a bit, but it was 1400s and 1500s where it was pretty bad. What was I talking about? Monotheism being a problem. Anywho, the church shows up. They're like, look, anything going on here, the lady in the woods, that's not our stuff. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. It's because they had to create. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So in the polytheistic religions, the devil guy, let's say in Egyptology, it would be Set, Hades in Greece. These characters weren't, Kali, they weren't considered evil, bad. It was like, no, they have some harsh attributes, but they also have good attributes. They had both, and you respected them. There's temples for the, quote, evil gods in all of these countries. Why? Because they're not evil. You don't need evil when you have more than one god. When you have one god, you have to explain bad stuff by creating the scapegoat guy. So the church shows up, and they're like, look, this is all bad. If it ain't us granting the power, it's somebody bad, and that was the way it went. And the hammer fell. It's called, what's the name of the book? Yeah. In 1487, Jim, this is it. 1487, a book came out from Heinrich Kramer. Malus Maleficarum, also known as The Witch's Hammer. And this was the best-selling book in the world next to the Bible. And it basically spelled out who witches were, why they did what they did, and how to take care of them. And it was pretty bad. They killed a lot of people, mostly women, not all, but mostly. And in the U.S., they didn't kill as many in Salem. I think it's only like 20. I think it's 18 or 20, which is already too many. But in Europe, oh my, it's like a lot. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, in 1431, they burned Joan of Arc because she was cool. You know? She was like a tough chick. And they're like, it's impossible. It's got to be. And again, it's all about the scapegoat. I keep saying it on this show. Everybody's looking for a savior and a scapegoat. And if you don't have one, they make one. They'll figure it out. People like it. Quickly, to keep this moving, because, dude, I could keep talking about this. There's a preacher. There's a 60 Minutes TV special on this guy. I forget his name, but if you Google it, you'll find it. He was a preacher, a Christian preacher, African-American guy, I believe in the Bible Belt. He one day woke up, had a, quote, vision from God, and it was, there's no hell. No one burns in hell. And he thought this because he's like, look, all the people that I preach are going to burn in hell. Basically, those guys, they're suffering on earth, right? Why would this, quote, loving God do the, burn, send them to hell? Like a Muslim child who is raised Muslim and he dies, and now we're saying he's going to burn in hell. He's like, there's no hell. This is ridiculous. After he went to his congregation and said, hey guys, I got to be honest, I had a revelation. There's no hell. I really feel God told me there's no hell. He lost his congregation. They stopped showing up. They didn't like that. Why? Because they need a scapegoat. It makes them comfortable. They get a dopamine blast knowing that the people they don't like are suffering right now. It's kind of a selfish thing if you think about it. Yeah, I mean, you can clearly see how this works. The Witch's Hammer. The book that stopped people from killing witches, or at least was the beginning of it, is called The Discovery of Witchcraft by Reginald Scott. And it's considered the first trick book for magicians. I mean, it exposes the tricks. It shows you that a lot of the stuff they thought was supernatural are tricks. And they also were using tricks to prove women were witches. Like if you had a mole, they would take a pin and prick it. And if it didn't hurt, you were a witch. So they had a trick pick that would go, it was like the collapsing knife that we all had as children. It was that. Okay, so Lanny says, you have a recently published copy of the Malleus Maleficarum. I'm kind of curious about it. I've never leafed through it. Lanny, I'm going to ask you a question. There's a delay, so it'll take a little second. Is it an updated translation? Like, what is the language and how does it work? Because, dude, reading some of the Old English stuff's really hard. I'm curious. Yeah, the boogeyman is important for a lot of people. It's important for rulers, and for some sick reason, people like it. Very strange. They really thought, people at the time, witches were a real threat. there was a paranoia at the time in Europe. I mean, truly, they were brainwashed. Tens of thousands were killed, okay? 1587, Faust was published. You got to understand, in those days, life was harsh, and, people couldn't understand certain things, so they needed to blame somebody. It's kind of sad. Yeah. So, we're going to end this on some of my secrets of magic that ties in to all of this. Which is why when I was pulling this show together the other day, I was like, oh, this is going to be... It just all fits. So, back to the notion of what powers, quote, the witch has. Is it easy to read, Lanny, or is it a thick, hard, heavy read, is my question. I've been reading a lot of philosophy, and I've come across some translations that are a little harder to read than others, but I'm curious. I like to check it out, actually. Yeah, blaming people for other people's for problems has become an epidemic right now, to the point of madness because of the medium of being able to whine, and a lot of people get to hear it. We all have a medium in our pockets that's unlike anything human existence has ever thought of. If you went back in time and told people what we're able to do with our iPhones, they would be blown away. And I always say this. Remember when we were kids, we imagined in the future flying cars? Well, why don't we have them? I'll tell you why. Imagine going back in time, seeing your 10-year-old self, and let's say I show up to you when you're 10, whoever's watching right now, right? Cardone the Magician from the future shows up, and I go, all right, this is going to sound weird, but I got something for you. Are you ready? You get to make a choice right now, and it's going to come true. What would you rather have? A car that you get in, and you literally go, boop, and it floats up, and you can travel with it flying. Literally, anywhere you want. You can fly to downtown. You can fly to your friend's house. There's some rules. You can't take off too far, but, right? Or, what if I told you you can have a box that's this big, and in that box is every single record you own? Oh, guess what? It's also every single record that ever existed. It's every movie, every record, every book. Oh, all the encyclopedias. It's a map. It's a camera. It's a video camera. It has a bug repellent. It has a flashlight. Oh, guess what? It predicts the future in certain things. It tells you the weather. I could keep going on for an hour of what our iPhones do. Which one would you pick? I'll tell you right now which one I would pick. The hell with the flying car. It's stupid. Who cares? I don't need a flying car. The other one? Insane. So, yeah, we're living in a world where we have powers with these things, which is why the corporate people are stepping in. So, we can influence people through our phones, but the real witch power that goes way back is this. And I want to talk about this because when I talk to magician friends, and we can all use this. This is not for magicians. I mean, the things I teach about coming from a magic point of view, it's useful for all of us, no matter who you are or what you do. We talk a lot about the approach and the techniques to fool people with magic tricks. I don't always talk about the tricks. Rick Sherman's in the house. He's in here. I think he's still in here. He's a magician. When we're on the phone, yeah, we talk about tricks, but we also talk about the philosophy and how it works. So when I show up to a group of people and they're being jerks, what do? Well, being a wizard, the first thing I do is I observe. I look at their shoes. I look at their watch. I look at their necklace. I look at their haircut. I look at their fingernails. I look at what they're eating if they're in a restaurant or a banquet. Just doing that, I have a huge read on them. And I understand my approach. And I have to assess the vibe and the type of misdirection I'm going to use in that moment. Just like if I'm performing for, how is the phone a bug repellent? It makes a sound. It emits the sound that scares them away. Like if I perform for children, I have a different tonality to get their focus than I would with Wall Street guys, let's say. or bikers or different cultures. Each culture, whether it be people from China, Russia, Europe, Americans, white guys, black guys, everything. They all have a different nuance to what they'll respond to based on their values. So that's what I do. And it all happens like that. Now, how does it happen like that? Well, I've done over 3,000 shows. It's just experience. It's paying attention and keeping track of what works and what doesn't. So the first thing you have to figure out is, what's the goal? So if I walk up to a table and there are a bunch of jerks, I know magicians that can't handle that. They start to, they get, why? Because they're reacting. That's the first rule, that don't react. No reacting. Respond. Process and respond. What's your goal? What are you doing? If you're there for yourself, then you can be like, I'm out of here. I don't want to entertain you guys. But that's not, when I'm hired to do a show, I'm hired to make everybody have a good time. Even the jerk. If I'm working a restaurant, I'm trying to squeeze money out of them. I get paid, but I also get tips. And sometimes the tips are huge. So how do I get that tip out of these guys if they're being jerks? Well, I got to get them to like me in some way, shape, or form. Does that mean I get more aggressive? Or does it mean I get more passive? Or does it mean I get passive aggressive? I don't know. I can do all three. That's what the guy has to figure out. So the first thing is the goal. You got to know what you want, Oh, Lanny, I remember that comment, and that meant a lot to me because that's what I'm trying to, that's all I'm doing here. I'm just sharing my experience, and if somebody can get something out of it, that makes me happy. And if they can't, well, that's fine. Usually when I share these things, people share back, and it gets me to learn more. Which is why when they get rid of negative likes on YouTube, that's weird. I want feedback, negative and positive. So, okay, so using that technique from a magician point of view to gain insight on a group, it also enables you to gain influence on the group because you're looking at it on a meta level. You're looking at the details. I'm looking at their wants and their desires, their ego, how they use their ego, and how I can use it to my advantage. Now, I'm going to end on this note because it's Friday and I want to party. I'm going to slam this soda down quick. Somebody, Jim says, can I get a shotgun? So, for anybody in here now, I own a really cool shotgun, a cool one. And Jim's always like, hey, you going to give me that shotgun? No. What's the saying for my cold dead hands? Charlton Heston. It is a nice shotgun, Jim. I think I'm going to take it in the next couple weeks to the range. I like shooting it. I've killed a turkey with that one. A nice one. This is what I'm going to end with. And to me, this is very important because I've had people say to me, wait, this thing I'm talking about on how I approach a table to do a magic trick is the same thing the shaman does. That's it. It's the same. There's nothing different. I'm doing the same thing. I'm just presenting a bit of wonder and impossibility that we're calling magic, where the shaman's doing the same thing. No different. He's causing a change of sorts. I was told, because someone's like, wait, you do that all the time? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And they go, so you do that thing, like you're reading people and using it against them in a magic show setting. And I'm like, I don't think it's against them. It's just, I have a goal. I'm there to entertain them and make them experience wonder. To do that, they have to be on my page. How do I do that? That's the technique. So they were like, so do you do that when you're at the deli or at the restaurant or talking to people? And I was like, well, yeah, I do it. It's just part of my being now. I'm able to kind of really predict things now by observation. That's what Sherlock Holmes does. The character Sherlock Holmes is a wizard, okay? He's literally able to do what a wizard does by using his skill of deduction. They were like, dude, that's like such a manipulative way to look at the world. And, yeah. But I'm going to be honest. Everybody does it. Every single person does what I'm talking about. They just do it to a limited capacity. And if they could do what I'm doing, they would do it. Which is why when I tell people, they're like, oh yeah. It kind of makes sense. It's not easy. It takes a lot of work. It takes study and practice and observing. And not just regular observing, smart observing, like writing things down and keeping track of things. I'm lucky. I get to do one magic trick over, and when I do a walk around gig where I'm mingling, I have one tomorrow. On a good note, tomorrow I have my first what I call real magic gig in a year, meaning I'm being paid well and it's a high profile job. And I'm not doing a formal show. I'm going to be mingling with other roving entertainers. I'm going to be doing it the whole time, repeating one trick over and over and over and over, and I really get to see how the gambit of humans respond to that one trick. Culturally, religiously, what gender they are, what their background is, everybody has a different reaction. And it's based on their values and their mythology and all sorts of things. I keep track of it all. I talk about it all the time. This is what the wizard world is. And so my whole theory is everybody does this. You're all doing it. Most of y'all suck at it. I'm not being mean. I'm just saying they're just not good at it. They don't stop and process the details. Just like if I teach you how to make a fan with playing cards, I can show you how to hold your hand and how to use your thumb, but I can't tell you how hard to squeeze with your hand or how hard to push with your thumb. You have to do it over and over and over and over and over again. And you'll go, oh, I got it. I'm going to squeeze. And you just get good at it from repetitive practice. I have met people that I know people close to me, and it's really sad to watch somebody practice without any thought, meaning they're just repeating it over and over, and they're not doing it differently every time. It's kind of a sign of a low IQ, actually, where you're like, all right, I'm going to do it over and over again, and they're not trying to do it differently each time. You know, it's like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing... Active observation. Good one, Rick. You know, and I'm like, no, you gotta try it differently. Well, I'm doing it like you told me. I'm like, I know, but you gotta, handle it. You gotta put your nuance. Our hands are all different shapes and sizes. So when I do the magic class next week, I'm going to be talking a lot about that. This trick of being able to observe and get things to go in your favor, everybody can do it. Everybody's trying to do it. I did I did a show where I talked about what I learned in theater school. And guess what? The main point of theater school that I left with on how to be an actor, let's say, is exactly this. On the same point. What are your actions? What are you trying to do? So I always use the words "I love you" in a theatrical setting. Let's say you're in a movie and you have your script and it says, the line that you say is, "I love you." And then the other person's line is, "No, you don't." Okay, just that. How many different ways are there to say "I love you"? How many different ways are there to say "I love you" with different actions? What if the line is "I love you," but your action is to hate or to ridicule? I love you, right? That's a ridicule love. You could say that line a billion different ways depending on what you're trying to do. What is your intention? So we learn in theater school, you write the word "to," blah, 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 to ridicule, to amuse, to hate, to poke at, right? Every line, you have an action. Every word out of your mouth that you say to anybody during the day of your normal life, not in a play. You have an action. You're trying to communicate this idea to get them to see your way. And, yes, exactly, Lanny. Yeah. Yeah, knowing how to do something and be able to pull it off. Yeah, there's a big difference. So, this thing about having an action that's got a line drawn to that, like I'm trying to do this, it's the same thing as the witchcraft and the shaman and the stage magician and the advertising firm and the lawyer, all the same thing. There's no difference. It just has to do with the archetype, the costume they're wearing, and the framing of it. And you can use each one of those pieces to help facilitate the action. There's not one detail you can leave out. And on that note, party on. Okay. Wow. What a great group we've had in here. Yeah, mirroring. We could do a whole show on mirroring. Yeah, how to influence people. We all do it all the time. Not only we do it all the time, it's part of evolution. That's what you're doing. You're trying to survive to the best of your ability. So that's what you're going to do. The shaman was trying to survive. I'm a medicine. I don't know if I'm a medicine man. I'm something. So folks, if you're new to this channel, hit the like, hit the subscribe, all that stuff. The other thing is this. In a couple minutes here, I'm going to roll dice and someone's going to win a prize. And I'm going to ship it to you in the mail. I don't care who you are. If you want to qualify for the prize, you have to write 430 in the chat. Most of you have already done it. If you've already done it, you don't need to do it again. Peter, I think we got Peter. You're in here. Everybody's in here. Write down 430 right now. And the other thing is people are playing the game. Has anybody won a lot of points tonight? Peter says, I can't wait to win again. Dude, you've won 3 times. The first thing I sent, you didn't get yet. So I got to go look up the tracking number. It's a book. The second thing you got, and the third thing I don't think you got yet. The mail in New York City is really bad right now. I should teach. Well, I do teach magic classes. I feel comfortable teaching that the most because it's my, sleight of hand magic. As for the witchy stuff, I don't like teaching that because that's for other people to figure out on their own. And I don't recommend people, well, Jim, Fran's in the chat. You can say hi to Fran right now, Jim. I think she's in there. Yvette jumps in here too sometimes. Amanda J, 430. There we go. I don't even remember what I was talking about. I'm too excited about partying later. It's Friday night and the weather's nice in New York City. I'm going to move my notes out of the way. Dude, look at these crazy notes I write. It looks like crazy chicken scratch. Oh, all right, Peter. You might have your other stuff there. Okay. You want to see a killer bottle opener? Look at this. It's a bottle opener, but if you hit somebody with this, this is a weapon. This is terrifying. Oh, there's my mama saying hi to Jim. All right, let's do this. Let me have a sip of my goblet. And I have a list. Let me get my dicey out. Let's see, which dice am I going to use tonight? We have more people in here tonight. I love it. And if you ever want to know about the game rules in the chat where people are gambling points, read the description. Okay, here we go. I'm going to use this dice. I'm going to move these out of the way. I'm going to put my dice tray out. And I'm going to roll a dice right now, and someone is going to win a prize. How funny it would be if Peter won again. How funny it would be if Helen won. I think you won the first one, Helen. I'm going to turn on my cam. Move my notes. Here's the dice I'm going to be rolling. And good luck, y'all. Here it goes. Bada bing. Bada. Daryl, are you in the house, Daryl? Daryl Nix. Where are you, Daryl? If you're in here, you won. Peter didn't win, but you know what? You almost won again, Peter. You were the number was you were I think number 12 on this one. Daryl, it's gonna be. I'm gonna give a little time, but if Daryl doesn't respond, I'm gonna roll it again. So Daryl, are you in here? Uh-oh. So my Streamlabs just said, please refrain from spamming symbols. I'm curious of what that was, Peter. What spamming symbol got pulled? I have my robot set just to pull off crazy, super duper swear words. I try not to swear on here. All right, Daryl. I don't think Daryl's in here. I'm going to do like a going once and going twice. Now, I am going to give him a second here because there is a delay. Nope. Daryl's not in the house. Uh-oh. What are you confused at, Arno? Oh, you typed an emoji and that it pulled it? I'm going to fix that. I hate that. All right. It looks like we're going to have a reroll. Because I think Daryl was in here at the beginning and he bounced. And one of the rules for winning my giveaway right now is you got to say, Arno, did you write 230 in the chat? Because if you didn't, I'll put it down. I don't think you're in here.
I think you did.
Oh, yeah, you're in here.
Arno?
No, I'm going to put you in here, Arno. All right. Arno Schultz, you're on the thing. I'm going to re-roll. I think Daryl bounced, which means I re-roll the dice. Oh, my God. Peter, if you win again, I'm going to laugh. Oh, Jim. All right, there's Jim. All right, here it goes. I'm going to switch dice now. I'm going to add more to the number. Boom, new dice. Okay, here it goes. Bada bing. Boom. Talon, you win. I think Talon's in here. Talon, are you in here? Because Talon just won. Tonight's prize is awesome. It is a Bristol stool chart from Goblinko. It's a really cool one with a bunch of other stuff I'm going to mail. So Talon, it's going to be a going once, going twice. Let me know if you're in here, Talon. You got to stay to the end to win the prize. Who is in here? You might have another chance, Peter. Talon. Talon. I don't see him. We'll give him another second. So next week on Wednesday, if you're going to be here to watch my class, it's not rigged. Have playing cards, a new deck or an old deck, but a new deck's good too, or both. And also coins. Talon's here. All right, Talon. You got to get me your address, and you can do it on Instagram, which I tell everybody to go check out. Cardone Magic. You can send it to me there. You can also email me at cardonethemagician@yahoo.com. And, just send me your address. I don't care where you are. It's going out. Talon, are you in Australia? Are you down under? I don't think so. Somebody here. There's a couple of Aussies in here. We got some English. Cool. I don't know why I don't have my camera on and the dice camera's still on. Anywho, Talon, you win. So we need to get your address. And everybody else watching, you need to get coins. You can get silver dollars. If you have silver dollars for next week, these are good. These are good for coin rolls, which I'm going to teach you my version of how to learn. And I think I'm going to teach a couple of the hard things for people that are crazy, OCD, and like to learn this kind of stuff, where you take the coins and you're able to roll them down in your, one slipped. Now, I practice with really slippery coins that have no edges. If you can see this, they're barely edged. And I like that because I have coins with edges, and boy, is this easy when you have coins with edges. So get some coins, get some cards. Next week, we're going to do actual learning some sleight of hand. Monday, I'm not sure. Oh, you're in South? You're in Myrtle Beach. That's a party town. All right, send me that address. So everybody else watching, listen, this show means a lot to me. I do it 3 times a week. Because of you guys watching and tips, I've paid for all this crazy equipment. I've got a fancy microphone, a really fancy camera, and the cool lights. Thank you. And the reason why I do it is because it's live and there's a chat. Look, donations. Bada bing. Look at this. This is just last week. So every week I'm making money, and I'm not here to like hustle money. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to get more people to watch. So if you can't donate or don't want to donate, that's cool, man. That's fine. Just hit the subscribe. Tell your pals, and keep coming back. I'm here 3 times a week. Next week I'm only doing 2. Next Friday I'm off doing my own thing. But Monday I'll be on, and Wednesday is a magic method. So stay tuned. I'm going to run. Oh, yes, there is a Cardone coin. I don't have many left. I do put those in the packages sometimes. Arno, thank you. All the new people, come on in. Keep coming. We have a blast in here. My crew in here chatting. Bunch of really smart, fun people who get me to think more too. So I'm going to end with my trailer for my magic method. And in there, there's a little video of me in a nightclub, and you'll see. It's one of my favorite nightclubs I work at. It just hasn't been open. They're going to open soon, so you'll eventually be able to come see me again in the nightclub. Well, thank you, everybody. Amanda, Helen, Arno. You still have a few minutes in here to play the in-chat games and win points. Yeah, Jim, thank you. That was a fun chat. Glad you were in here. Very fun. Come back anytime. I'm going to end with my Magic Method trailer. And, well, here's my Magic Method trailer. I'm going to put that on, and then I'll say bye. So check it out. Yeah. Seven? Thank God I can do magic, everybody. Shut up! Oh, shit! You guys rule. My name is Cardone. This was episode 58, Evening Hour Live, and I'll see you next week. Party on, Wayne. Let's get it out of here.